Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's special Last Post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Francis Beaumont. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland. We would also like to take a moment to consider and pay respect to the many professional and volunteer firefighters who are out in the thick of the bushfires, working in the most challenging and dangerous of conditions to keep people, places and communities safe. We thank you for your commitment and service, which reflects the essential essence of the Australian spirit, a spirit we also showcase here in the stories at the Australian War Memorial. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story of just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. Following the reading of the story of Private Thomas Benjamin Galbraith, a single wreath will be laid at the photograph of his headstone.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Thomas Benjamin Galbraith. Thomas Benjamin Galbraith was born on the 5th of May 1881, the fifth of 12 children born to John and Alice Galbraith of Tamworth, New South Wales. Galbraith worked as a carpenter and at some point moved from New South Wales to Queensland, where he married Anna Hill in 1906. The couple had 4 children together: John, Emilde, Catherine and Bertie. Around 1910, Galbraith moved with his family back to Tamworth and then eventually to North Sydney. Galbraith's wife Anna passed away in October 1913, leaving him with 4 young children. The family later broke apart, and by 1916, some of the children were left in the care of a Mrs. Dobing of Neutral Bay. Galbraith enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 11th of June 1918, and after training sailed for service overseas aboard the transport ship Pakara. He arrived in London on the 14th of November 1918, just days after the armistice that brought the First World War to an end, and was allotted to the reinforcements of the 1st Infantry Battalion. He would not take part in any fighting, but he would still serve for Australia. After a brief spell in hospital with influenza, Galbraith transferred to France. Although the war was over, thousands of troops remained in the country and needed supplies to keep them housed, clothed and fed. Galbraith served at the Australian depot at Abancourt, southwest of Amiens, and in early February 1919 was attached to a bakery unit of the Royal Australian Service Corps. 5 months after the end of the First World War, on the 25th of April 1919, Anzac Day, Galbraith was killed in a tramway accident at Saint-Germain-au-Mont-d'Or, north of Lyon, near the Rhone River. He was 37 years old. He is buried at the Saint-Germain-au-Mont-d'Or Communal Cemetery extension, where over 100 Commonwealth casualties of the First World War now lie. Private Thomas Benjamin Galbraith's name is listed on the Roll of Honour amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed here today. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Thomas Benjamin Galbraith, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Tonight, our piper will play for you from Anzac Hall as you leave. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.